Well, welcome to The Real Story. Long time ago, America used to be built on this crazy thought that our representatives, get this, would represent our views. I know, it's crazy and old-fashioned, but we, the people, just seem to be more of a nuisance lately. The Senate is now debating an amendment to the Iraq War spending bill that has a little more to do with the legal immigration debate, which I thought we already had, than the war. Under the amendment, illegal immigrants who are currently doing those agricultural jobs, you know, the ones that Americans just won't do, along with their families, would be given legal status for 5 years. That means temporary amnesty for 1.35 million illegal immigrants without the American people ever having a say in it. Oh, what a great display of democracy, huh? But the outrage over our slimy politicians going behind our backs is distracting us from where our real outrage should be. I feel, at least, the real story is this bill represents nothing less than state-sanctioned modern-day slavery. Oh, the oranges need picking. Better grant those visas. The price of strawberries, they're up 3 cents. Oh, well, you better tell our border agents, look the other way. We need more workers. The great economist Dr. Thomas Sowell once said, blacks were not enslaved because they were black, but because they were available. Well, isn't that exactly what illegal immigrants are? Available to pick our fruit? What, is this really the standard we want to live up to? The price of groceries? Is that the kind of country we want to be? In the city of Westbury, New York, they have a median income of $83,000 a year. A couple of years ago, officials found 12 illegal immigrants living there in a basement flooded with sewage, because that's all they could afford. In Southampton, median income $64,000. Officials found immigrants living in sheds with no plumbing or heat. In Newcastle, median income $62,000. Officials estimated there were dozens of shift houses. This is where immigrants literally rent a dirty mattress for 10 or 12 hours a day to catch some sleep. We may not be putting these people in physical chains, but we are putting them in financial ones, and that chicken is going to come home to roost. I may be anti-illegal immigrant, but for the love of everything that is good and sacred, at least I'm pro-human being. Dan Patrick is a radio talk show host on my affiliate in Houston, Texas, KSEV. He's also a Texas state senator.
So watch that slimy politician just a little bit. Some of us are trying to do it right now.
I have to tell you, Dan, this is amazing. An amazing example of slimy politicians doing it in the cover of night on, on an emergency war spending bill.
And Glenn, this is why there's little faith and confidence in government from the people. That's why the ratings of Congress are so low. That's why people distrust elected officials in government, because they do this end around. The people have clearly spoken on this issue. They do not want any type of amnesty given to those who have come here illegally. And this is a way to sidestep the demand of the people. And what really offends me, Glenn, think about if you're a soldier in Iraq. I mean, this is going to be attached to a bill for spending to support our troops who are there defending our borders. If you really get down to it, what are our troops defending? They're defending our freedom, our democracy, our republic, and our borders. So in a bill that we're supporting our troops, we're actually going to support those who have come here illegally.
It's amazing.
That's really offensive.
You know, here's another reason why we don't trust our elected officials. I'm going to give you something Senator Dianne Feinstein said. She said, "This is not the place for this bill. I believe it's a mistake to pass this bill on an emergency supplemental with our military fighting in extraordinary circumstances." This is what she said in 2005 when they tried to do it. The Republicans, they'll do and say whatever they have to. Once they get in power, they flip. Same thing with the Democrats. They flip. What are we teaching our children?
Well, we're teaching our children that maybe they don't want to grow up to be politicians.
But we're also teaching
or
them,
if they do, they need to be honorable people who, just because they're in the public sector of being public servants, doesn't mean they can start not upholding those values they were taught at home. Basic number one of telling the truth, be honest.
What about hard work? We're also teaching our kids there are jobs that you just don't do. I saw in the newspaper last week a story that said the government is being asked for billions of dollars to start work programs for teenagers this summer. Right next to it was a story that there's nobody to pick the fruit here in New York State.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. And Glenn, going back to the point you made earlier about enslaving people into these jobs, when I talk about illegal immigration, and I am one of those who believe we must secure the border now, but I also talk to Latinos, and we have, a large population in Texas, and when I speak to groups, I say, look, illegal immigration is also about Latinos coming here. Who wants to support a policy that makes you get to our country in the back of an 18-wheeler where you can suffocate to death?
They are slave ships.
That's right. Or crawl across the desert. Or work for these impoverished wages. And let me tell you, Glenn, it also goes on once they get here. In the state of Texas, about half the children who enter the 9th grade, about half the children do not graduate from high school. Many of those are children of illegal immigrants, and many of those children are going to be destined to work at these low-wage jobs for the rest of their lives.
Okay.
We have got to solve this issue, Glenn, on so many levels, because everyone is losing. Americans are losing. The Latinos coming here are losing. Everyone losing.
Dan, I got to run. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And by the way, this goes into debate tomorrow. Please, if you still care, call. Now.